So, so give me a rundown. Like, what are some aspects when we look into the canon, right? When we're focused on the canon and we're trying to figure out, as a layman, somebody who's not necessarily in the academic field, right? What are some of the first aspects that you interact with when you're first studying, when you're first diving into this area of how the canon came together, or the consummation of the canon?
Yeah, so people need to understand what the canon is, and if you're not a Star Wars fan, they love the term canon. But as far as biblical canon goes, it's a collection of books that have been authorized, confirmed, and affirmed as being legit. Now, when it comes to the scriptural mandate, we're talking about books that have been issued out by God. And Paul used the term in 2 Timothy chapter 3 that all scripture is given by, and he used the word theopneustos. Theopneustos is two Greek words put together, God breathed, theopneustos. And what the church has always sought for in the Old and the New Testament, looking at the scriptures in the Old and the New, is what did God say? Where are those words? The words that God spoke out, breathed out. When we look for a collection of those, that is what the canon is. It's a collection of the words that were put in books by authors that were appointed by God to be his messengers and to bring them in together into one unit and say, these are the collected words of God for God's people. So when we look at that, we need to define canon. The next thing that we need to look at is the fact that when we look at a canon, there is no single church council that has ever decreed the canonical books until the 16th century at the Council of Trent. One of the most amazing things in history, Marlon, is that when we look at the canon, it pretty much made itself. And one of the things that we're going to discuss over and over again is that the criticism against Christianity is that men chose these books, or councils chose these books, or that there were some sort of debates that went on and the greater debater won the argumentation and chose the books off of winning debates. And what we're going to find in history is that is not true. These were being received by the churches all over the world without any corroborating, without any conspiracy. They were naturally selected the same book. So we need to understand, when we're talking about canon, no church decreed a canonical list of books really and officially until the Council of Trent in the 16th century. And also with that, and I think you put the quote up, if you haven't, of J.I. Packer, one of my favorite quotes on canonicity, is the church no more gave us the New Testament canon than Sir Isaac Newton gave us the force of gravity. And what that means is when we talk about gravity, we don't say Isaac Newton invented it. We say that he discovered what already existed. But when we talk about the canonical text or the New Testament, what J.I. Packer is saying is that the church didn't invent the canon. They merely discovered the canon. The canon was finalized completely at the ending of the writings of John, and each canonical book was finalized when the original author, whether it be Luke, Paul, John, Matthew, finished writing their words and finalized the final edition of those words and distributed them from their authority into the masses. The canon was complete, and was being completed as each New Testament writer finished their writing. And that over time, the churches discovered that those words were always theopneustos, not that they created theopneustos, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. I mean, obviously defining terms, getting those things in place helps when the layman or the person comes in and they desire to understand what is the idea of the consummation of the canon, of trying to figure out how did we get the books that we have.